Artificial intelligence refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think and act like humans. So, are you an AI optimist or a pessimist? Do you think that AI will help humanity solve some of our biggest and most complex challenges? To help us answer some of these questions and concerns, we are joined virtually by Chief Security Evangelist at ESET Tony Anscombe. Tony, a very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Oh, good morning, and it's my pleasure.
How do you believe AI has been used or could be used to positively benefit society?
Well, there's several examples, but two that stand out, I think, for me. One is recently it was disclosed that in cancer treatment, where a doctor might sit and have to look at images that take a doctor maybe 2 to 3 hours to actually go through and make a definitive decision on. Yeah, AI is being used and can do this in under 30 minutes, freeing the doctor's time. So that's a really positive use of technology, actually for the very benefit of us as humans. Another instance is the Indian government a number of years ago used facial recognition, which is using AI, of course, to identify missing children in a railway station, and they repatriated 3,000 children with their parents. So there's two really positive societal influences of AI.
And can you expand on some negative or unethical uses of AI?
Well, unfortunately, as with all technology, somebody will find a bad way of using it too. And the concerns are about society, privacy, surveillance. Yeah, and facial recognition actually can be used in the unethical way as well. We've seen issues of bias, and that's because AI works off of data that it's fed. So we've seen racial bias being used by some governments and commercial companies where they've had to step back from it. And of course, even in our everyday life, I don't know whether you've noticed, but phishing emails in your inbox will have got very good over the last year. And that's because large language models, cyber criminals are using them to improve the language in those phishing emails. And it becomes harder for us to detect them. So there's unfortunately an unethical version of it.
And I suppose one of the most dire, negative uses of AI is the jobs bloodbath. We've seen some companies shedding jobs and those jobs being replaced by robots. As a matter of fact, just the other day I was listening to a radio ad that was completely generated by a robot, and that robot sounded just like you and me. Gosh, I hope my job is not on the line now. So what can we do then to mitigate some of such threats to our jobs?
Well, I think actually if we go back in history, if you go back all the way through to the Industrial Revolution, there was a huge fear that technology even then, steam engines and automation would remove people's jobs. And of course it did. But people, we evolve, and what you find is we go off and do more interesting things or other things. There are other things around this we do. We also find that some of the jobs that are automated actually need a human touch. So for example, if you look at support services by companies where consumers ring in, there was this huge move to move them to cheaper labour or to automate parts of them, and now a lot of companies are actually coming back and putting localised people, because they've realised consumers want to speak to somebody local with a local accent and who has some sort of local knowledge. So I think while some jobs will be automated, I don't think it will be as bad as maybe people are thinking.
Right. And what regulatory or legislative measures do you think are necessary to ensure the ethical use of AI and prevent its misuse?
Well, this is one of the big ones, and it's super important that there is regulation and legislation to limit unethical use of AI, to protect privacy and society, etc. But at the same time, legislation sometimes hampers innovation. So this needs to be a coming together of legislators and people that wish to use AI models to find correct ways to use the technology that actually fit for both. And I'd urge industry actually to use it responsibly so that legislators don't over-legislate and stop some of that innovation.
Right. All right, Tony, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Great stuff. That was Chief Security Evangelist at ESET Tony Anscombe talking to us about the multifaceted impact of artificial intelligence or AI on society.